Hey everyone, welcome back, or welcome if you're new here. My name is Caroline. I'm a housewife. I love all things homemaking, baking, gardening, all that kind of stuff. We have a lot of fun here on my channel. First things first, my husband is out of town this evening, and one thing I'm really trying to get better at is taking care of myself. So I thought, I have a few hours to myself. Let me make some snack prep. I'm gonna make some baked goods that I've been wanting to make for a little while now. I've also got to eat dinner, y'all, because I got to take care of myself. That's one problem I've been trying to remedy. I've been trying to really make sure that I eat good meals even when my husband isn't home. A lot of times I think as women we just ignore our own needs, and it's very much a self-induced problem. I can't blame anybody except for myself. Whenever my husband isn't home, I just think, oh well, I won't cook dinner, and then what do I end up eating? Stuff that's not really that great for me, not that nutritious. So we're also going to take care of that, but first we're going to focus on the fun stuff. So I've got two recipes I've been wanting to make: sourdough chocolate graham crackers. And y'all, I love graham crackers, but the store-bought ones, first of all, they have junk in them, and second of all, they have soy in them, and I recently found out I'm allergic to soy. It causes a lot of stomach problems, so I'm gonna try those. It says sourdough, but it is a sourdough discard recipe, so it's not going to take forever and ever and ever, although it does say to refrigerate for at least 1 hour, but we'll see how it goes. Next recipe is sourdough discard apple cinnamon muffins, and y'all, these look so good. I have made a recipe before from this website. The flatbreads come from that website. If you've seen that video, I'll make sure to put links in the description. If my links in the description aren't highlighted, it's because I'm a new YouTuber and YouTube isn't letting me link things yet, so I have to put a space between the HTTPS / then I put a space before I start the www, so it won't be highlighted for that. But if you copy and paste it into a browser, you can just delete the space between that last / and the www, and then get to the links that way. So I apologize for that. I'll start doing regular links as soon as YouTube allows me to. So I think we're gonna start with the chocolate graham crackers. The way that you'll see me make this is gonna be a little bit janky because it calls for white wheat flour along with all-purpose, and y'all, I only have all-purpose, so we're gonna do with what we have. I apologize about my tripod setup. It's a little bit janky, but I'm looking at a tripod that's a little bit better, and it's like $50, so I think I'm gonna wait a while before I get that. The first thing I added was 2 sticks of butter. It called for coconut sugar, but I didn't have that, so I added white sugar, honey, some cinnamon, and then mixed it all together. I've got the butter, sugar. It calls for coconut sugar, but I just have white and brown, so I just used white in there. And then honey, so I did that. I also accidentally added the cinnamon. I don't think it'll make a huge difference. It's just got to, with that thing, get kind of fluffy. So I'm gonna bring up the speed a little bit. Now I need to add the baking soda, cinnamon, but we already did that, cocoa powder, and salt. Our butter was salted, so I'm not going to need as much salt. I'm just using some pink Himalayan. Half a cup of cocoa powder. So we got to mix it again, and it says to scrape down the sides. I'm going to add the discard. So I'm not going to draw a discard straight from my starter because I haven't fed her today, so I could do it. Discard is just unfed starter. Too funky because she's been a little bit neglected, so I'm not going to draw straight from her. Plus I already have 2 full containers of discard that have been in my fridge that I really need to use up. Also, let me know if y'all want to see a video on how I make a sourdough starter. It's really easy. Some people have a lot of rules surrounding making sourdough starter, but it really is very easy. You can adapt it to your schedule, and it's just such a blessing to have because all the microorganisms and stuff in this, since it is a living thing, it's very good for your gut. So let me know if y'all want a video on that, and I can show y'all the process of how I make a starter and continue the upkeep with it. This recipe calls for a cup of sourdough discard, and I'm sure y'all have noticed, but I eyeball a lot of stuff, and I just wipe the sides and rinse my fingers off. That's how we roll around here. 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour is what we need, and then we're going to need a 1/4 cup of white wheat flour, which we don't have. Whoop! So basically it's 1 3/4 cup. Be too dry, so we'll see if that gives us a good texture or not. Not over mixed, so let's see if we can handle that. So the next steps are to, once this is all mixed together, divide the dough in half. I guess that's so it's a more manageable size. Wrap it in plastic wrap and refrigerate it until it's chilled. Then preheat the oven to 350. Roll out the dough on a sheet of parchment paper and make sure it's pretty thin, as thin as you like your crackers. Cut into squares and poke holes in them. That way they look like graham crackers. And freeze them for 10 minutes on a baking sheet. Okay. And then bake them for 15 to 20 minutes. So overall, I think this is pretty easy. It doesn't require that many ingredients. So hopefully it tastes good. I'm gonna taste the dough. It actually tastes pretty good. I don't care for cinnamon in my chocolate unless it's like Mexican hot chocolate, but it's a very, very light cinnamon flavor, so I think it'll be okay. This is kind of what the texture is like. It definitely feels like a dough, and it's not sticky. I think it's nice that it tells you to, it's not covered all the way, to divide it. I know it's probably because it makes it more manageable, but honestly, I might be the only one who enjoys these if they're good. So it would be nice to just bake one ball of this dough and then save the other, keep the other in the refrigerator. That way I can bake them as I want them, and I have fresh crackers without having to do the work all over again. I always lick the spatula. Set a timer for 1 hour and label it graham crackers.
1 hour graham crackers timer.
Perfect. Now we're gonna work on the sourdough discard apple cinnamon muffins. We need, let me see how many apples we need. This one has a lot more ingredients. Beware, but I'm sure they'll be delicious. Okay, it says I need to preheat the oven to 425 and make sure my oven rack is on the middle. Starting in the middle, perfect. Make 425. Okay, it does call for 2 separate bowls, but you just kind of throw them all in each, so it'll be fine. And I only need 2 medium apples. I got out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 apples, and I only need 2. Whoops. And this makes 12 muffins. Okay, so let me get a bowl. So I need 3 cups of flour, 3 teaspoons of baking powder, I hope I didn't lose count. That was a ½ teaspoon, so I had to do it 6 times. I don't really measure cinnamon unless I have to. 2. Alright, that should be plenty. Oh, ½ teaspoon of nutmeg. I found these cute little jars at Hobby Lobby. They have like little cork stoppers. And I got the labels on Amazon, I believe, but they are so beautiful. And they actually create a good seal, and they're not too hard to take out, that's what I was worried about. Again, I'm not really going to measure that. Let's get up real good. This might be the first fall dessert I'm making, but I'm excited to have some muffins on hand. Now we need 2 apples. So I'm going to take my handy dandy apple peeler. I don't want to get apple juice everywhere, so we're going to remove the recipe sheets for now. It's been a couple weeks since I've used this, and now I'm like, which way do I put it on? I'm pretty sure. Shoot. Which way does it go? I think it's this way. Yes. Oops. I forgot to put this up, and so it didn't peel it. My husband doesn't mind the peels, but I feel like in muffins it would be difficult. Okay, I think I'm gonna leave this one aside, and I might just snack on it. He was trying to help me figure out how to make potatoes on this, and we weren't having much luck with it peeling it, but that's okay. These chunks might be a little bit too big for muffins as well, but you know what? It's okay. Fork so I can separate the apples better. I don't think a whisk would do the job. So you're supposed to coat the apples in this mixture so that they don't sink in the muffins. Although, y'all, they might sink anyway because some of these apples, like, I quartered them after I spiralized them, and they are chunks. So I don't know. They're thin, but I feel like they still might be too big for muffins. In another bowl, we need to put some sugar. So it's a 1/2 cup of white sugar, 1/2 cup of brown sugar. I'm running low on brown sugar, but I'm gonna start making my own with white sugar and some molasses. So I was lowering my stash on purpose. 1/2 cup of brown sugar. Okay, we did that. 2/3 cup vegetable oil. I think I'm just gonna use avocado. I don't think I've ever made muffins that called for oil and not butter. I do buy inexpensive oils like canola oil, vegetable oil, but honestly everything else in this recipe is pretty healthy and wholesome, so I really hate to just add a inflammatory oil to it, but I do keep those oils on hand for convenience and for saving money whenever I need to. Now I need 2 eggs and an egg yolk. If you don't measure, it's okay. Wow, I never crack them with one hand. I always crack them straight into the bowl, just never with one hand. I think I'm going to use the chocolate bowl, so I don't have to go back and forth with the trash can. Whoop. That one had a lot of white. Okay. I think we're going to break the yolk and do it over the chocolate bowl too, because I don't see myself needing the chocolate bowl again tonight. I just crack it into my hands, and it's messy, but it works. And it's going to be the sourdough, this part. It calls for 1 cup as well, so that's nice. So I don't think we need the whisk, but just in case, I'm going to stick it in the chocolate bowl. Now, oh, you know what we do need? It said to use a spatula, so I'm going to listen. says do not overmake this also, and the batter will be thick, and then allow the batter to rest for 5 minutes. Whenever we go to bake these, we bake them at the 425 for 5 minutes, then reduce the oven temperature to 350 and continue to bake them for 20 minutes. I had heard a while back, and I can't remember from where, that's my oven preheating, that muffins, they need that shock of high temperature to rise really fast and get the really nice dome top. So I think that's probably why you have to put it in at such a high temperature and then turn it down, of course, so the muffins can cook through and not burn all the way. Not burn all the way. I mean, don't burn. So I'm gonna just keep mixing this together, and then I'm going to fill the muffin cups. I like to keep my muffin cups in this mason jar with just a plastic lid so I don't have to deal with the 2 pieces of metal. I am not going to use the ones I used last time to make muffins. I had like a fall ones, they're pumpkin from the Dollar Tree, and then I had ones that were red and they stained my muffins orange. I made blueberry muffins and it was gross. So I don't want orange muffins, so I think I'm just gonna use, maybe this would be pretty. I have plain white ones, but I am trying to get rid of my seasonal ones because I think I want to switch to brown paper when these are all gone. So these are like a really pretty paper lined foil with the 2 layers, and it's got a really pretty gold color, which I think will be really nice for fall and for them being apple flavored. Since the recipe says it makes 12 muffins, tonight I am making a conscious choice and a conscious effort to make sure I feed myself a well-rounded meal instead of snacking just because hubby isn't home. They weren't lying when they said the batter was thick. Y'all, it is thick. It also smells really good. It smells like apple pie. Doesn't say how high to fill them. No, actually it does. It says filling all the way to the top. Usually the instructions say filling like 3/4 of the way full. But if I do that, I'm not gonna know how long to bake it. So it's not a streusel topping apparently. You mix melted butter, sugar, and cinnamon, and you brush it on top of the cooked muffins, which might keep them moist. I don't think I'm gonna do that. I might see after I taste a muffin, after they're cooked. But if it's not gonna be a streusel topping that's baked into the muffin, I'm probably not gonna mess with it. Plus, the batter tastes fine on its own, so we'll 5 minutes, then I'll turn the temperature down, and then we'll bake it for 20 minutes. This is how much batter we have left after making the 12 muffins. I think I'm going to take this time to kind of tidy up my work area and then get myself some dinner made. Oh my goodness, this soup, you guys. I can smell the garlic just editing this video. So I added a couple pats of butter, an onion. You probably could dice your onions smaller because even though I use an immersion blender later, it is hard to get all the chunks out. And I also put some garlic in there. There's only like 2 cloves of garlic, but it is very good. Very garlicky. And then I added a can of crushed tomatoes. I think it calls for 2 cans, but I have like half the recipe kind of. And then it calls for chicken stock, but I just use bouillon, and then a little bit of sugar and some pepper. While I'm waiting on the soup to come to a boil, I'm going to let these muffins cool, and then I'm going to take them out and put the other batch in. Once the soup comes to a boil, I'm going to take my immersion blender and blend it until it's as smooth as I can get it, and then I'll add the other ingredients. Okay, y'all, so the muffins are done. I have the second batch in the oven right now. They look so beautiful. Look at that big apple chunk. And they're nice and firm, which I like. They're not soggy like a lot of muffins are. So I'm gonna try this. I've already given myself my bolus, and if y'all don't know what that is, it's whenever you give yourself insulin. In the world of type 1 diabetes, that's what we call it, a bolus. But I'm gonna bite into this and let y'all know how it is. That's good. all bubbly and beautiful. I added some heavy whipping cream, some cheddar cheese too, because it tastes really good with cheese in it, but I was out of Parmesan, which is what the recipe calls for. It definitely tastes better with Parmesan, but the cheddar is good too. Y'all, the soup is done and it smells so good. This recipe, it doesn't call for a lot of garlic, but it smells super garlicky. And it is a brighter orange in person than on camera. It kind of looks like butternut squash soup on camera, but it's much more orange than that. Here, let me turn this off and see if that changes that. I think that made it a little bit better, but it's definitely a richer color than on camera. I actually forgot to freeze the graham cracker dough after I cut it out before it went in the oven, but it was pretty firm from just sitting in the fridge for a little over an hour. I had a hard time rolling this out, so if I did it again, I would probably roll it out first and then refrigerate it so it would firm up. Alright y'all, I'm gonna sit down and enjoy this big bowl of tomato soup, and the graham crackers are in the oven now, and that's the last thing I need to make. And hubby just texted me and he's on the way home, so that's perfect. He probably won't eat this because he's likely already eaten, but just in case, there is plenty, and it's really good left over too. The graham crackers are done. They're really hot. I left them kind of like a soft bake, but whenever I press into them, they don't indent, so I think they're done. I baked them for about 15 minutes, and oh, they're so cute. Here, let's taste one together. I might put them back in the oven if I want them to be firmer. I also had an idea that these would be really cute like ice cream sandwiches, because they kind of have that cakey texture, especially if you paired it with ice cream, and I think they're strong enough they'd hold up very well. Also, something I'd like to say, if you're new to sourdough, especially sourdough baking for sweets and things, sourdough doesn't have to have that typical sour taste. Sorry, let me finish chewing. Just because you bake with sourdough or sourdough discard doesn't mean that you'll end up with a sour or off taste. You can have it sour, and you can also not have it sour. It just depends on how you feed your sourdough starter and kind of specifics like that. But like I said earlier in the video, if y'all want to learn how to make your own sourdough starter, it's super easy, and I might make a video on that in the future. All right guys, that's everything. Thank y'all so much for being here, and if you don't mind, please like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you so much. Bye.